Well, this is the garden. I thought I would give it a quick walkthrough and show y'all what's going on in here. I got squash on the first row. This is the first year anything's been planted here, and it is weedy, churty, so we're working on the soil bit by bit. That first squash I think was a dainty table squash. We'll see. Pretty sure I have to look back and see what I planted where. This one is a patty pan squash. This one is a type of zucchini. Ooh, and it looks like the seed I planted is coming up. Added a second plant here. This should be fine. This is I can't remember the name of it. It's some rustico. I'll have to look it up. I'm really bad. This is supposed to be yellow squash, and it has not come up. I'm hoping in the next day or so the new seeds I planted here. Oh, I do see one. Must have kind of washed out. But yeah, yellow squash. There's one. And these are zucchini, which I don't see any coming up just yet. Come on, zucchinis. You can do it. Planted another kind of squash here. It's got a weird name. It's kind of like a patty pan, kind of like a sweet dumpling. Don't see those seeds yet. This is a early moonbeam watermelon. They're starting to grow a little bit. And this one's the Moon and Stars watermelon, which I find really interesting, is that the leaves are speckled like the watermelon's supposed to be speckled with the stars. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's just a weed. And over here, we start the first tunnel. Beep. On this side, I planted a type of cantaloupe, but I don't see but one or two coming up. This is one I had last year that I really enjoyed, and I had to replant some because it's just not all coming up. You get a lot of weeds. Got 2 plants. It may be enough. Over here is a larger cantaloupe. We'll see if I can make them climb. We have the Odessa squash growing here. I don't think there's anything coming up there, but I've got a bunch of radishes gone to seed. It's got to be pulled up soon. I've got lots of peas. I've done real well with the peas this year. My favorite though has to be this variety for the green pod ones, because the pods are so long and have so many peas in them. The plants are really small. And this variety, King Tut. Purple pods, green peas. Oh, and the blooms are beautiful. Say good morning, sweetie kitty. Sweetie. See if I can find a bloom. I'm trying not to make everybody dizzy with my... There's a bloom. So pretty. Back up just a bit. And Marin planted potatoes in this bucket. Eli planted potatoes in this bucket. Colin planted potatoes in this bucket. So it'll be kind of cool. Have potatoes coming up. This is the green bean row. Ooh. Had some gaps that I added seed to the other day, and we'll see if they come up. I don't see any just yet, but it hasn't been long since I stuck those extra seeds in the ground. I'll try to keep it watered. It's been hot. Down here are razorback peas, which are not really purple hull peas, but a different variety. And on the inside is a Jacob's cattle bush bean, but they aren't coming up just yet. I just planted them. I don't see any coming up, nothing but weeds. Oh, I see one. Starting to break through. Here we go. Oops. Starting to break through. Look at that. That's going to be a great dried bean. This row is the okra row. And there's okra coming up. Again, I had to replant. Some of my seeds are old this year, so I'm just having to double up on stuff and hope for the best. They should be popping on up, the rest of them, but I do have some okra. Always weeds. There's some okra and okra. And the second half of this row is also okra, both sides. Down at the end, I have my red roselle, which is like a red hibiscus, what you drink red hibiscus tea. They're coming up pretty well. Look at that. So nice. And the new addition to the garden this year is this row of raised beds that Brian made me. They're not perfect, but they're perfect for me. I'm learning. Never used a raised bed before, so hopefully the cat won't think it's a big litter box. We added some compost to it, help a little bit. This one's just got dill in it, and it's starting to come on. Dill. Sweetie! She's wanting to know why I haven't fed her. This one has got my daikon radishes. Hopefully they just won't bolt. And beets. Beets are looking pretty good. This one, right, I got a little late plant on it, so it's just a little bit of kale. Not all of it came up. Not too worried about it. And then these little baby bok choy that I think are adorable. I mean, look at that little thing. What's not to love? I'm going to cook some of that for dinner today. Here's my lettuces. I've got this mesclun mix in the middle, which is one of my favorites. Adds a zesty flavor, different flavors than just your basic lettuce. Leaf lettuce, anyway. And this big tub is where we have our sweet potatoes. Just an old leaky water trough. I got these slips from Miss Carol, Megan's husband's granny. And the sweet potato Megan gave me from her garden. It started growing slips, so I went with it. And now look at them. See, this is the middle of the garden. The tunnel row that's going to be cucumbers. Most of it anyway. Again, the cucumbers aren't coming up this year like they were before. But I have some on this one. These are Boston pickling cucumbers. So we'll hopefully have some good pickles. This side is actually starting to sprout now. We replanted these guys, so they're coming on. This is Market More, so it'll be a big slicing cucumber. Don't see anything on this side yet. I'm getting a little sad. But this side is my Parisian pickling cucumber that I want to make a bunch of little gherkins out of. Actually, this side is the Market More. I got to get my facts straight. And they are just now starting to come up again. This side's coming on up. These are delicatessen. These make really good slicers. Sweetie, what's she doing, kitty? She's so pretty. Oh, look at her. She thinks this garden is just for her. The first tunnel I decided I wanted to put tomatoes in, because these climbing triple crop are supposed to get really tall. So I put them here. We'll see. They're supposed to have really big tomatoes. And I have this Cherry Falls cherry tomato that is supposed to be good in climbing boxes, falling out of a hanging box. So we'll see. This is the sweet pea. Very prolific, very, very viney, but also first to flower. Look at that. So over here, I planted some flowers at the end. And this guy, the birds planted last year. This was sunflower. I planted some more down at the bottom, but yeah, this is going to be beautiful. Sweetie, get off the flowers. The zinnias all came up by themselves this year. I've got a bunch of them. That one's about to bud. About to bloom really soon. But I also planted calendula all in this bed, and it's starting to sprout. I'm real excited about it. And my beautiful little carrot bed. After the carrots, we have peppers. Got a little wider bed this year, so I planted them side by side. This side is the hot peppers. We've got from Tabasco and Cayenne. And this New Mexican chili called a sandia. Buena Mulata is a purple pepper. Gosh, so good. Pasilla is a really good Mexican pepper. These are the Cajun bells. They're really cute little sweet hot pepper. Then I have Hungarian blacks, which are a black jalapeno and regular jalapeno. And then the yellow Trinidad scorpion, which will light you up. And a habanero. I'm saving those spaces at the end for some nuclear hot peppers from a friend of mine. I'll be putting them in this next week, hopefully. And then the garden will be done. On this side is sweet peppers. These are the arroz con pollo that taste like a habanero without any heat. And we have some bell pepper varieties, sweet chocolate and yolo. And then the mini bells. These red Belgium said they were supposed to be like a lunchbox pepper, but they're a lot bigger than that. But they're really good. Really good red pepper. And they're starting to bud. Down here we have our corbachis, which are like a long, skinny, kind of sweet pepper. Really not that sweet, but... And on the end, banana peppers. And the garlic's looking great. It's tall, green, and then all these volunteer zinnias and lemon basil. Oh my God, lemon basil is coming up everywhere. Wish you could smell it. It's right there. We got a couple of nasturtium in here. I love a good volunteer plant. This row is, as usual, going to be lemon basil, purple basil, and lime basil. And they're starting to sprout. But I've got basil coming up everywhere in my garden anyway. I love it. It smells amazing. Peppers! No. Cherry tomatoes. And I got to get these things strong. They're starting to lean. Starting to look great though. Starting to put out buds. I see you. I see you little buds in there. I see you too, sweetie. But yeah, there's 4 rows with 8 plants in each row of cherry tomatoes. And they look beautiful. And there's 4 rows of tomatoes with 19 plants in each row. This first row is all like, these are green zebras, and then so they're stripy or colored, unusual pepper. I don't know why I keep saying pepper. Unusual tomato plants, not your norms. This row is all the dicing, canning type tomatoes, not for sauces, but for diced tomato canning, or slicers. This row is all Brandywine tomatoes. I've got hillbillies, red vintage wine, and yellow. They're looking pretty good. They've not even been out a week yet. This is my paste row. It's mostly Amish paste because they get so big and so beautiful. Apparently, I've got something eating one. What have we got here? Something's been nibbling on this one, but I don't see any culprit to keep my eye out for the bad ones. But at the end, I have Purple Russian. I tried them last year, and I had problems with all my tomatoes last year, so we'll see how they do this year. Maybe they'll be better than last year. It's supposed to be like a purple colored paste tomato. But I'm going to put a couple of my new hot peppers at the end of this row. My friend gave me some Jerusalem artichoke, which I need to weed around. It's coming up pretty thick. And the rest of this row is more basil. Right here I have a little bit of Persian basil, and then Genovese basil, just regular sweet basil coming up really thick. See if I can get in on this one. There we go. And then the next section is Thai basil. It's a really good basil. I have 4 more tomato plants down here that are lime green salad tomatoes. Looks like they're starting to put out some buds too. Across the aisle here, I threw out zinnia seeds. So this is going to be a huge zinnia patch. Down the outside row where I have the Jerusalem artichokes, I planted amaranth. Not sure. Never done it before. We'll see. There's the one variety called Love Lies Bleeding. It's a red flower. And there's a golden colored one. I'm sure I'm going to have to thin these. They get really big. This one down through here. And this last one, I can't remember the name of it. Scarlet Globe or something like that. They're coming up too. Pretty thick. But it looks pretty amazing. I'm pretty sure that in a little couple weeks time, it's going to look like a jungle in here. Now, right now it's just the beginning. I'm really excited about it. Got everybody looking at me like, why aren't you feeding me? Come on. Sweet kitty. And then that black cat's name is Ricky or Sneakers, just your choice. And then Scout. I'm loving it. I'm loving how big and beautiful these are. I mean, I started them from seed. It's just amazing to me to grow something like this from seed in my own home. It always fascinates me. You can put a tiny seed in the ground and get such a return from it. This was finished yesterday. Peppers. I'm really excited about the cucumbers. And I can't wait to have fresh cucumbers.